This radio show curates Japanese anime culture and economy. TORO Animation Research.
From essential recommendations to obscure trivia, this is Ryota Fujitsu's Anime Lab.
SBS Radio, TORO Animation Research Institute. In this segment, our chief researcher, Ryota Fujitsu, will randomly introduce historically significant anime and present anime-related topics in a column-style format. So please, take it away.
I'm Ryota Fujitsu, an anime critic. This time, I went to the Annecy International Animation Film Festival 2025 for work, and I'd like to give you a report on that if I may. So first, what exactly is the Annecy International Animation Film Festival? Well, Annecy is a regional city in France that's quite well known as a resort destination, a summer retreat really. So I'm told it's often described as being like Japan's Karuizawa. Geographically, it's quite close to Switzerland, so culturally speaking, it's very Swiss-like as well. There are these beautiful lakeside towns and...
The population is only about 130,000, so it's definitely a bit on the small side.
That's right. So it's this tiny little place, and when you go there, you know, there are absolutely no convenience stores or anything, so daily life was pretty tough, but let's set that aside for now. There's an animation film festival held there. Now, what kind of festival is this originally? Well, it started in 1960 as a split-off from the Cannes Film Festival, making it the world's oldest and now the world's largest animation film festival. Every genre comes together there, from short films by independent creators to major blockbusters produced by American CG studios. Everything's represented. Various companies attend, there are film screenings, and then there's also what's called MIFA, that's Marché International du Film d'Animation, which basically stands for the International Animation Film Market.
Market?
Right, the market. There's something called MIFA attached to it. So it's the festival screenings as an event, plus what's called the market, where people in the animation business come to present new projects, or look for partnerships like, is there anything you'd want to collaborate with us on? Or conversely, when we want to partner with someone, we go there to make those connections. It's basically a business meeting venue. That's where it's connected. I originally went there for work because an organization that promotes Japanese films was exhibiting at MIFA. So I went as part of that job, I walked around the venue, and this MIFA really had booths from every country where there's an animation industry from all around the world. Naturally, some were put up by countries themselves and others by companies. Animation production companies. I was thinking things like, wow, even this African country has an animation industry. Or in Europe, for example, Georgia. Georgia doesn't really have much connection with Japan, you know. There might be some connection in food culture and things like that, but even countries that don't seem to have much connection in terms of visual culture were still putting up animation booths. So it felt like there was really all sorts of stuff there. What I did this time was participate in what's called a pitch. It's about an hour-long demonstration session where they present several new Japanese anime projects. It takes place in a conference room, and the one I attended had 4 segments, with me hosting 2 of them. One was about director Masaki Yuasa, who's currently working on a new project. He's making an anime based on Banana Yoshimoto's novel The Life of Daisy. So since the introduction for this will be done elsewhere, I wanted people to hear from director Yuasa himself, Director Yuasa, who was there at the venue. And the other one, there are 10 films in this film festival's competition section, and among those competition entries is a Japanese work called The Last Blossom. So I wanted people to hear from director Mugi Kinoshita and producer Matsuo. So my job there was to interview them about things like what kind of feelings they put into creating these works, and in Yuasa-san's case, what kind of stance he takes as a director. By the way, there was also Shirogumi Insee, which is a company that creates CG animation. They are the team, or rather the company, that won the Academy Award for VFX for Godzilla Minus One. They're working on a new animated project called Mind. So part of what we did was things like asking if anyone would be interested in becoming a partner for this project, or finding investors or distributors, you know, looking for outlets like, let's try this in our country once it's completed. And there's this stop-motion company called Dwarf that's been making Netflix shows like Pokemon Concierge and the Rilakuma and Kaoru series recently. And they're currently working on this project called Hidari. It's a stop-motion action piece about Hidari Jingoro, the legendary woodcarver. In it, Hidari Jingoro has a chainsaw attached to his right arm, and he's slicing and dicing his opponents. But since the enemies are wooden puppets, and the whole thing is made using wooden puppets, when he cuts them instead of blood, sawdust goes flying everywhere. That's the kind of action piece Hidari is. And then there's Taiyo Matsumoto's manga. They did a presentation about turning Sunny, which is set in a children's home, into a stop-motion animation. And they're also looking for various kinds of business partners for that project too. So it really covers everything from creative to business. And on the creative side, they handle everything across the board, from really independent artistic works all the way to major worldwide releases backed by big American CG companies. When you actually go there, the sheer breadth and scale of it all means you just can't see everything. The number of film screenings is on a completely different level. There are 10 films in competition plus non-competition entries, short films, and then there are works in what they call the midnight selection, late night slots for various reasons. They even do outdoor screenings for the general public. There's this huge grassy area by Lake Annecy, and they set up a big screen there where everyone just lounges around watching the outdoor screenings. So I really pushed myself to see 6 out of 10 films in total for both the screenings and competition. Since I had already seen The Last Blossom, which was in competition back in Japan, I managed to watch 7 out of the 10 competition films, but I couldn't see the one that won the top Crystal Award. It's a work called Arco, but I saw pretty much everything else. From Japan's entries in the competition, there was Chao, directed by director Aoki from Studio Fortexi Tais. It's a story with various twists and turns about a mermaid princess and a salaryman protagonist who meet and fall in love, and the visuals are incredibly unique. This Chao won the jury award. The jury award is essentially second place, you know. The Crystal Award is the top prize and the jury award is second, so it properly secured the runner-up position. It's being released in August, so I think it would definitely be worth checking out. In Japan, back in 2016, we had director Yuasa's Lu Over the Wall win the Crystal Award, and director Katabuchi's In This Corner of the World take the jury award. So 2016 was a real 1-2 finish for us. So Japan's presence there has definitely been growing. Among all the various works that come together at the festival, Japanese anime really has a significant presence in the sense that it takes on quirky, unconventional subject matter and presents it in an impressive way. Not as purely entertainment like Hollywood majors do, but leaning somewhat toward the entertainment side. Something like Chayo also has this incredibly unique visual style, so I think that kind of thing gets recognized too.
Works that are mega hits domestically don't necessarily get to take that stage, you know.
Well, I think they probably submit their films and the festival selects them. That's basically how film festivals work. Apart from the judges, there are probably people who do the initial screening and they watch everything and pick out the films. And those 10 films are what got selected. Then the judges watch those 10 films and make their decisions. So there were films from various countries, like this very entertainment-focused CG anime from China. And then there was this film made in France and Belgium by a Japanese female director called Planets, Dandelion's Odyssey. It combines CG and live action, and it's about dandelion seeds that fly off and go through all sorts of things before landing on another planet where they nearly get attacked by various strange creatures but somehow manage to survive, bloom into flowers and create seeds again. It's one of those films with no dialogue.
We've received a message. You mentioned that you gave a presentation overseas. Did you present in the local language? English? Japanese?
Since I can't speak English, I had an interpreter with me at the time. When the other person and I would communicate in Japanese, the interpreter would do what's called consecutive interpretation. Every time I asked a question, the interpreter would step in, and when the other person answered, the interpreter would step in again. But the other people, you know, the ones I mentioned earlier, like the folks from Hakugumi and Dwarf, they all gave their presentations entirely in English. I do think several times a year that it would be good if I could speak English, but this time I really felt that again. I also watched some Japan-related pitches and other pitches, but basically everyone doing Japan-related stuff was presenting in English. I mean, when you give the presentation yourself, it does get your message across more easily, and everyone was really putting in the effort there. You could see they were really performing with big gestures and body language to make it all clear. Including all that, I really thought it's quite important for Japanese anime to make its way out into the world.
How did you enjoy this episode of SBS Radio's TORO Animation Institute? TORO Ani is broadcast live every Monday at 7 p.m. on Japan's SBS Radio. Please be sure to tune in. This has been Ryota Aoki, host of SBS Radio's TORO Animation Institute.